If you want to learn about mitochondrial dysfunction being a key driver of human illness, look into Jack Kruse, a neurosurgeon. I didn't say it's not a driver of human dysfunction. In fact, that's why red light therapy is so damn effective, because it has a direct impact there. Same for NAD. It's more about saying what does it cause or not. And here's what happens: people take a little bit of truthiness and they go and they extrapolate and extrapolate and extrapolate and extrapolate until they eventually go to crazy town. So I'll give you an example. There's this gal named Wendy, and she was on some conservative alt-right podcast that's run by some hack job journalists. So she says, "Oh, there's an Epstein connection in Cardano." Okay, that's news to me. And says, "Well, the singularity net thing over there. Apparently, Ben Goertzel, him and Hansen got some money from a foundation connected with Epstein." Okay. Well, that's a true statement. I guess there's a financial connection there. All right. So then that means automatically that the PRISM project, which is getting academic credentials digitized and self-sovereign for Ethiopian students to use to verify their transcripts, that then means that all of their data is apparently being harvested for sex crimes in Ethiopia and abroad by a New World Order cabal. What evidence? What evidence do you have? Do you know anything about it? No, I should sue you. Why? Because you're just making it up. You're just making it up. You're just connecting things that are completely unconnected. So you start with apparently a grant from a not-for-profit to a project that was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, long before it entered the Cardano world. I wasn't aware of it, wasn't connected to it, had nothing to do with it, never met any of the people there. That's Ben Goertzel's thing. He comes over into the Cardano ecosystem, creates a project in Cardano, Singularity Net, has nothing to do with any of that stuff. And then somehow that means that all the stuff over here in an unrelated entity, an unrelated company, is not only connected, but there's a nefarious use case for that. That would be like saying, oh, okay, well, you know, that housekeeper over there cleaned this guy's house who turns out to be a Nazi. And because that housekeeper also cleans the other house, it must mean the people in that house are not only Nazis, but they're actually running a death camp. What evidence do you provide? No evidence at all. There you go. See, that's the problem with how information propagates and spreads these days, is that people start somewhere where there's something that they notice that doesn't seem quite right. And there's usually some legitimacy behind that, like the whole Epstein thing. Yeah, it looks like the dude was killed. Yeah, it looks like he worked for an intelligence agency. In fact, when he was murdered, it was probably like this awkward meeting between the Brits and the Americans, the Mossad and the others, like who's going to kill him? And they have to draw straws to see who gets the honor of it, because the dude was just up to his neck in weird stuff. And the fact that nobody's looking into it at the mainstream media tells you everything you need to know. That's reality. And we all kind of understand that. But you see, when you're a billionaire, or at least play a billionaire, and you're cutting hundreds of millions of dollars of checks all around, you touch everybody at that point. Everybody gets a stain. And then what you do is you say every single person who touched that had that intention for the rest of time. Then you have created a very bizarre thing in your mind, you know, and we see it. I get emails about it, and it's, what is the Cardano connection? What did you guys do? Oh my God. Oh, are these children being used for sex crimes? It's like, it's academic credentials the Ethiopian government already has that are siloed, and they're being put with DIDs so kids can now verify their transcripts even if the government's not operating or functional. And they don't have to wait on a bureaucracy 12 weeks, 18 weeks to send a transcript to a university. Isn't that a good thing for them? And that's government data that they already have. Like, did you get an A or a B? That's it. That's the point of the program. But apparently, there's now this connection. It is so reckless and utterly irresponsible and frankly slanderous in every sense of the word. Now, does this person care about it? No. What is my recourse? You spend 2 years, millions of dollars suing them. You win. And you make any money from it? No. Why? Because that person doesn't have any money to get. It's like getting blood out of a stone. Okay. It's like suing Alex Jones at this point. And so, okay, you win. Now, here's the problem is that by winning, it's a conspiracy. Well, because obviously, the courts work for us. It's some new world order thing, and we're just proxies of the new world order. That's why the courts gave them the victory. So, did you win the moral victory? No. Did a single person who believed in election fraud in 2020 change their mind when Dominion won against Fox News and the $700+ million that Fox has to pay them? Not a single person. So you don't get anything from it. And it just spreads and spreads, and they double down and double down, and then they switch methods and these types of things. That's the world we live in. You see, and the problem is when you do that in healthcare land, then people make decisions based upon that information that hurts them and harms them, kills them. And this is the rub with misinformation. This is the rub that causes people to, and it happens in every political spectrum. Like, I'm a pro-vaccine guy, and I've taken pretty much every vaccine you can imagine. However, upon reflection of the data, I've changed my mind about the COVID vaccines. There's a lot of evidence that they're not really effective and not really safe. There's papers I can give you that are peer-reviewed that show your chance of blindness is twice as high amongst the vaccinated amongst unvaccinated. You can look at the myocarditis risk. You can look at a litany of things that they told us would never happen, like the spike protein would stay localized and not become a systemic concern. And apparently it is. It's found in breast milk. It's found in all kinds of tissues. It's even in your brain tissue, and it's cytotoxic, and it's going to create persistent inflammation for lots of people. They said it could never integrate in any circumstances into your genome. And then they find that it metabolized in the liver of certain people in just the right way and got integrated into liver tissue. And they're continuously making spike protein. There's papers published by credible academics about this stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that would come up during a traditional vaccine trial that's done over 10 years. And the end result would be the benefits are not sufficient to justify the risks, and it would not get FDA approval, like all the other vaccines, like the Hep B vaccine and the Ebola vaccine and these things. But we didn't do that. We pretended like 3 months of science was enough to do a clinical trial on 2 billion people, sprayed and prayed, and ignored all evidence along the way. Now, if you're captured by that complex, what I'm telling you is a conspiracy theory. But if you're a reasonable person, you can start looking at all the data and realize it's not as rosy as you predicted. Google Haiti and their COVID rates, for example. Wonder why that is what it is, huh? But you see, that is a reflection on scientific evidence, primary data, and lots of global conversations because billions of people have endured this over the last 3 years. And reasonable investigations need to be done. We need to stop pretending that things are an emergency use and ask for people to go through the normal FDA approval process. And let's see how well they fare through that process. Probably not so well. I think that's a reasonable statement. It is not a reasonable statement, though, to say that 100 years of cancer research is wrong. And some guy over the internet that you've never met, who may be credible, may not be credible, told you it's all a conspiracy theory by Big Pharma, and they're keeping millions of people sick. So Steve Jobs just decided to die. If there's anybody who's going to be in the elite New World Order, wouldn't it be him? He just decided it was good. What about Paul Allen, co-founder of Microsoft? Isn't he in the elite New World Order? Co-founded Microsoft. He was a billionaire, owned the fucking Seattle Seahawks, died of cancer. So he just willfully died to keep the conspiracy going. Oh, they didn't tell him. Oh, okay. I guess he wasn't that much into the club. What about all the other prominent, powerful people that died of cancer? Oh, I guess they weren't in the club either, or they altered the death certificates to say cancer or something like that. It's just so crazy, the conspiratorial thinking you got to have. It's just the secret that we know. Don't you think at least one person is going to go, and especially since a lot of the things they're hawking, like these vitamins, this other stuff is cheap, is going to go out and studies for it? Now, you're right. There's some things that they, for some reason, don't do clinical trials on because there's no money to be made, like vitamin C in the treatment of cancer. There's a few in Taiwan and other places where people have done high-dose vitamin C and shown great results. But for the most part, it's totally ignored, especially when combined with hyperbaric therapy. Those two things together probably have a very strong anti-cancer. Turkey tail is another example of anti-cancer. There's no money to be made. So, yeah, not a lot of research gets done. It takes a long time to get a little something. So, you don't start from crazy. Excuse me, you don't start from facts and work your way to crazy. You have to somewhere along the way put a wall up and say, guys, it's too far gone. And there's something here that doesn't make sense. It is not a conspiracy theory to have reservations about a medical treatment that's untested. It is a conspiracy theory to say that the entire world is united lockstep in trying to convince everybody that there is no cure for cancer and that we just have to accept what is, and while a secret elite group hold that cure for themselves. You see, and that's the problem. And if you still think that, then you're no better than Wendy saying that we're harvesting data from kids. And if she was bigger, we'd sue her.